However, Combs's defense team just last week called for a 14-month sentence, arguing the judge should not factor in testimony from former girlfriends since he was acquitted of coercing them into sex.
As you just heard in the clip, Combs' legal team has requested only a 14-month sentence from the judge, arguing that the testimonies of former girlfriends should be disregarded, since Combs was already acquitted of those charges. But the question is, will this defense be enough to convince the court? This case is not confined to a single incident or one allegation. Over the years, Sean Combs has faced a long list of controversies. Whether it's his business dealings, his role in the music industry, or the constant scrutiny of his private life, Combs has always been a subject that grabs headlines. In recent weeks, several new claims have surfaced against him, further complicating the case. Some former associates and close circles have accused him of abusing his power and engaging in unethical behavior. The media trial and public pressure have also made the matter more sensitive. According to legal experts, although Combs has been acquitted of certain charges, the court may still consider his overall career and past conduct when determining a sentence. This means that not only the current case, but his past scandals could weigh on the judge's mind. It's also important to note that Combs' persona is not limited to being a singer or producer. He is a businessman, a brand, and a symbol of a vast industry. Any major decision against him will affect not only his personal life, but also his business contracts and the music world at large. Many critics argue that this case isn't just about one individual, but about accountability within an entire culture. In Hollywood and the music industry, speaking out against powerful figures has always been difficult, and that's why Combs' case could set an example for others. On the other hand, Combs' supporters maintain that the media is showing bias against him. They point out that Combs built a successful career, provided jobs for thousands of people, and introduced countless new talents to the music industry. From their perspective, the allegations against him could also be seen as political or personal attacks. The real question now is, how will the court view this entire matter? Will Combs be sentenced solely on the basis of the current case, or will his past controversies also be used against him? The coming weeks could prove decisive for Combs' career. If the court rejects the defense's request and hands down a tough sentence, it will be a major blow to him. But if the punishment remains relatively light, he may once again survive the storm. For now, fans, critics, and media across the world are closely watching the court's decision. Combs' story is far from over. In fact, it might be more accurate to say that this is just the beginning of a new chapter.
If granted, that request would credit Combs for time already served, potentially making him eligible for release by year's end.
If the court accepts Combs' defense team's request, he will be credited for the time he has already served, which means he could possibly be released from prison by the end of this year. This news is not only shocking for his fans, but also a sensational development for the entire showbiz and music industry. The case against Sean "Diddy" Combs has become a major legal and social issue in the United States. The allegations against him are not limited to his personal or private life. They also point toward the misuse of power, fame, and influence. His lawyers argue that since Combs has already been acquitted of certain charges, those testimonies should not be allowed to influence the new ruling. However, prosecutors argue that this case is not just about one individual, but about an entire system. If a powerful and influential figure is handed a lenient sentence, it could set a dangerous precedent for others. If Combs does walk free by the end of this year, it would mark a dramatic turning point. Public reaction appears to be divided. On one side are his fans, who believe the case against Combs has been exaggerated and that the media unfairly targeted him. On the other side are critics, who argue that if Combs is released early, it will only reinforce the idea that wealth and fame place certain individuals above the law. The media has played a very prominent role in Combs' case. Newspapers, TV channels, and social media platforms have been driving new debates every day. On Twitter, X, hashtags like #JusticeForVictims went viral, while on the other side, #FreeDiddy also trended at the top. This divide reflects that Combs' case is not confined to the courtroom alone, but has become part of public opinion and the wider media narrative. If Combs is released, it will directly impact his business empire and the music industry. He is not just a singer or producer, but a brand in himself. He holds contracts with major companies, and following his release, some of those corporations may consider partnering with him again. On the other hand, if public pressure continues to mount despite his release, many sponsors and brands could choose to distance themselves from him. According to legal experts, this case is a true test for the U.S. judicial system. If the judge takes a lenient approach, it will raise questions about whether powerful individuals receive a different kind of justice. But if a harsher sentence is handed down, it will serve as a warning to others that no matter how big a star you are, the law applies equally to everyone. This is not the first time Combs' name has surfaced in controversy. In the past, he has faced several scandals and lawsuits. Some cases ended in acquittal, others were resolved through settlements, while a few remained surrounded by unanswered questions. That is why, whenever a new allegation emerges against him, both the media and the public react immediately. The Combs case is not just about one individual, it has also sparked a broader social and cultural debate. Since the rise of the #MeToo movement in the United States, there has been a growing wave of accountability against powerful figures. The case against Combs is being viewed within this very context. It is not confined to the courtroom alone. It also touches on societal values, women's rights, and the standards of justice itself. If Combs is released, he will face two possible paths. Either he will refocus on his music and business, attempting to regain public trust, or he may step back into the shadows for a long period to ease the pressure of ongoing controversies. The next chapter of his career ultimately depends on this decision. Viewers, the biggest question now is this: will Combs truly be released by the end of this year? And if that happens, will it be justice or a stain on the justice system itself? These are the questions that will only be answered in the weeks and months to come.
In addition to the 11 years, prosecutors are also seeking a $500,000 fine.
Prosecutors are not only seeking an 11-year prison sentence, but are also recommending a hefty fine of $500,000 against Combs. This financial penalty has given the case a new dimension, as it is no longer limited to imprisonment alone. It now carries direct financial consequences that could significantly impact his future career as well. According to U.S. legal experts, fines in such cases are not just about financial punishment. They are also meant to send a message that wealth and power cannot shield anyone from the law. Prosecutors argue that given Combs' status as a billionaire businessman and a major figure in the music industry, failing to impose a fine would undermine the principles of justice. It is also being said that if Combs only receives a prison sentence without a financial penalty, he could easily use his wealth to rebuild his reputation. That is why the $500,000 fine is seen not only as a punitive measure, but also as a symbolic decision in this case. On the other hand, Combs' lawyers argue that the fine is unnecessary and unfair. According to them, Combs has already fought a long legal battle, spent millions of dollars, and suffered irreparable damage to his reputation. The defense team insists that if the court imposes the additional financial burdens, it would not be justice, but revenge. A large number of Combs fans have expressed disappointment over the news. They argue that Combs reshaped the music world in the U.S. and around the globe, inspiring millions of people. They believe it is unfair to punish someone of his stature so severely. However, critics maintain that this is precisely the time to hold powerful individuals accountable, no matter how big a star they may be. This case is currently one of the most widely discussed topics in the media. On TV channels, in newspapers, and across social media, Combs' name continues to trend. Some people are calling it a major test for the courts, while others view it as a victory for justice. On social media in particular, the debate has intensified, with many arguing that if Combs is given only a light sentence, it will not be justice, but favoritism. Combs is not just a singer, he is also a massive business brand, with contracts worth billions of dollars tied to his companies. If he faces both imprisonment and a heavy fine, it will directly affect his business empire. Several companies that have sponsored or invested in him may be forced to reconsider their partnerships. Legal experts believe that a combined verdict of prison and fine would set a strong precedent for the future. If the court imposes a tough penalty on someone as powerful as Combs, it will send a clear message that the law is equal for everyone. But if the fine is reduced or removed, critics will once again raise questions about the fairness of the courts. This is not just Combs' trial, it is a test of the entire system. The question remains, will the court truly hold a powerful figure accountable, or will wealth and fame once again outweigh justice? What do you think? Should Combs be forced to pay a heavy fine, or would that be unfair? Share your opinion in the comments below. If you found this update informative, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss the latest breaking news.